things and plans are not turning out the way that we had desired and wanted them to, it very well could be that our expectation and desires are wrong. Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, day number 1 of the Torah portion, Mikketz. So we read from Bereshit, or Genesis chapter 41, the first phrase of verse 1, which says, "And it came to be at the end of 2 years' time." At the end is the phrase Mikketz in Hebrew. At the end of 2 years from what counting? Where do we begin counting 2 years from? Is this the total imprisonment of Joseph? Or is this more likely 2 years from the time of the previous chapter's conclusion? And that is that he has interpreted dreams for Pharaoh's baker and cupbearer, and that the cupbearer has been restored as his dream was interpreted to say so. He has been restored back to service to Pharaoh, and from that time until the beginning of chapter 41, verse 1, there's been 2 years. The plea of Joseph was, don't forget me when you get back to court. Tell Pharaoh that I have been put here without justice. I'm innocent of the crimes for which I have been accused. Here's the question. When Joseph would be released theoretically from prison by command of Pharaoh, in his estimation, was it to be returned to service in Potiphar's house, back within the lustful, sensual grasp of Potiphar's wife? Or did he imagine that for the injustice of his being placed in prison all along, that he would simply be set free as a free person within the realm of Mitzrayim? He could find his way back to his father, back to his homeland, and back to the original concept of which his own personal dreams were envisioned. That is, he's going to become the family head, and that his brothers are going to bow down to him, and that by some means he's going to rule and reign over that family so productively, it will be even as if the sun, moon, and 11 stars are bowing before him. Visions of grandeur. He had it all worked out in his mind. It took 2 additional years of grooming, humbling, convictions, thinking, probably a lot of time of prayer and crying out, Father, why am I here? I'm here because of a great injustice toward me. Joseph had to come to the place where he realized that the dreams and the prophecies that he had been given were not for his own promotion for himself or even for his immediate family, but for the nations. There was something much grander, larger, more encompassing at stake here than just his personal issues. So childhood dreams and visions were not for his advantage, but about bringing Yah's plan for the nations to pass. When many of us came out of wherever it was that we were, we began to recognize there's more to the story than what we have learned thus far. We began to see that perhaps the issue was Shabbat for some of us. Perhaps it was feast days. Perhaps it was kosher eating. Whatever the issue was that sparked an intrigue and a searching in your own mind and heart, the Ruach began to move through you, and the more you dug into the scriptures, the more you realized, I'm not getting the whole thing. And you began to ask the famous question, quote unquote, is this all that there is? Once you start asking that question, and the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit, begins to answer that question, the treasure of revelation and insight and understanding just explodes out of the book. And we begin to read the details that we have not seen thus far. Maybe even some of us also utter the famous phrase, when did they put that in there? The process that we engage in at that point, we may see it only as personal benefiting, personally enhancing. It's about me and my walk, or my family and my walk before the Father, and how that we are to live our lives. I return to the Torah and an understanding that one half of the book does not do away with the other half of the book. There's a major revelation. Once we understand these things and walk in these things, we expect at some point for there to be this open heaven outpouring of benefit where the Father says, bless you, my children, for coming to the power of the truth, for returning to my commands, for re-engaging into things that ancestors long before you laid down and have forgotten. That there would be a sudden surge of healing power and delivering power, and that everyone around us would see this extra glow about our walk, so much so that they would have to ask, what is it that you got? I got to have it too. It's disappointing when those things don't take place. Matter of fact, it's even more disappointing when instead of being embraced, encouraged, applauded, acknowledged, you're argued with. And it's problematic in relationships. We've all been in that boat. It's not a fun place to be. It's kind of like where Joseph was at. Not a fun place to be, where he's misunderstood. He's wrongly accused. He's just trying to do what is right. He's holding on to dreams and visions, to the word of truth that he has, that he knows. And nothing seems to be working according to plan. What he could not understand and did not understand evidently was that Yah held him in check, held him in reserve for the right time and season. Yah knew that there was a decreed time of famine that would come after a time of decreed bounty and abundance. And its purposes were to bring the family of Israel down to Mitzrayim, to incubate them, even under pressure, to where they would grow from a family to a nation. Yah had to be understood as he revealed himself again and again and again to the nation of Israel in the wilderness. I am Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, your Elohim, who brought you up out of the land of Mitzrayim. That's the way he wanted to be known. Previously, and up to this point, he is known as El Shaddai, the mighty one of the patriarchs. There is a greater revelation even than that. As powerful and overwhelming as the El Shaddai revelation is, the revelation that Yah is our deliverer out of the place of bondage is a revelation that had to come forth, because it's also important for us to understand that and where we're living right now. We are living in exile. We're living in places of bondage. And if you don't think you are here in America, just understand and know that there are those who are your righteous spiritual peers the world over who are experiencing great tribulation and great bondage. And Yah is going to deliver them and reveal himself as Yahweh Elohim, who's brought you from the four corners of the earth. In order for that to happen, it took 2 more years of Joseph's life, keeping him in check, holding him in place, until the moment at the end of all the reserve and all the holding could come to pass. Do not despair. If it's not fruit-bearing yet, your day is coming. Our time is coming. Be faithful until that point. And we'll see you again tomorrow. And in this, shalom.